Okay, welcome back to another training video. So if you guys want to see the posing routine, because we do that every Friday. Well, oh, you know what? We forgot to do a pose down this week because we talked about doing that 2 weeks ago. Doing a pose down. We'll have to do that next week. Okay, so if you guys want to see the posing, skip towards the end of the video. The last 2.5 minutes is the posing routine if you guys want to watch that. If not, enjoy the content. So today, I actually want to talk about being lazy and how incredibly easy it is to become lazy with certain things. So, and this goes for everything, like all walks and aspects of this whole entire process. So you might be lacking your results and then wondering how come I'm not getting results like I was in the beginning. Like people talk about newbie gains, and it's like, okay, well, the first 3 to 6 months you get your newbie gains. It's the weight comes off the fastest, or you put the most size on the quickest and everything else, which is true. And then once your body adapts and becomes familiar, it does slow down. That's 100% true. It does slow down. But what I tend to notice in a lot of people, once they hit about like the 2 month, 3 month portion of their working out, they start to get lazy with certain things. Like they either get lazy with their workouts, they get lazy with their dieting, they get lazy with their cardio, they get lazy with their sleep, or they become more relaxed with cheat meals and start having more frequent cheat meals, or they don't control the amount of food that they eat in general whenever they're home on the weekends or in the evenings. And it's easy to take a bad turn real quick. Like when you mess up on one thing, it's like a spiral effect, and it takes a hold of you. Not everybody, but the majority of people, it takes a hold of them, and then it's something really hard to undo or get back into it. Like it takes motivation, and motivation is a form of energy to be able to get to the point where you have that energy to go without. Like, okay, I can be hungry, I can work out hard, I can strain, I can be sore, I can be repetitive with making meals and eating at the same times and the same stuff. Then when you get deeper into your routine, you start getting tired, exhausted, worn out, and bored of the same thing. And then that causes you to start being lazy, which causes you to start getting relaxed, which causes you to start going backwards, which causes you to not have the mental capacity, the energy, or the motivation to start back up or get back at it. And it's very difficult to get in the mindset to be like, okay, I'm ready to go through that again. So sometimes it's just easier if you just don't back off or have that moment of weakness. But then other people, they excel at having a cheat day or a cheat meal or a deload week or a week off after a certain amount of period and like a certain amount of time. So whatever the case is, if you find yourself like backing off or slacking off and actually getting lazy with your dieting and your routine and your training, you need to really ask yourself, like, man, am I really pushing myself in the gym? Am I really giving it everything I have? Can I do better on my diet? And if the answer is yes, figure out what made you start slacking or becoming lazy with your routine or whatever it is you're doing, and then fix it either by changing your diet, changing your program, changing your workout, the intensity, the volume, or whatever. Just do what you can do to get out of that rut, because man, I'm telling you, once you get deep in there, I've been there so many times, it's hard to get yourself out of that.
Yeah, and like for me, like I said, I had a much more sedentary lifestyle, and like I wouldn't say that I've completely lost that, because it like doing all this is still very new to me again, but like trying to avoid falling back into it after a short period of time is super difficult. But I find like if I'm putting the meals together and everything like that and making it something that's enjoyable to me and easy to keep up with. Like same with the workout. Like as long as like if the workouts are movements that I enjoy doing and I get the right type of feel and sensation out of them that I'm looking for, and the meals are ones that I enjoy eating but are still falling in like the ranges that I need them to do, like that helps me a whole bunch to keep from like kind of backtracking into going like, well, you know what, like I can I've been there for like 4 days this week or whatever. I can take a day, and then one day turns into 2 days, and then a week, and then I'm back to just sitting on the couch, freaking watching TV for no reason again, kind of thing. And it's like I don't want to do that. So for me, I've also found that the more I'm getting like being active and like being in the gym and stuff like that, it helps me a lot. Like if I'm only going and working out like 2 or 3 times a week, it is a lot easier for me to go like, well, you know what, like I can give it an extra day or two. But like right now, doing the 6 days a week kind of stuff, it keeps me a lot more honest and like motivated.
Yeah, and once you get into a more scheduled routine or a set routine, it becomes easier and easier. But like I said, a big issue is people become bored or stagnant with their routines, and then they start slacking off or backing off. And don't get me wrong, I want to be very clear. Getting up and going to the gym and half-heartedly doing it is better than not doing it all. Getting up and going for a mild walk, it's better than not walking at all. Like halfway dieting or monitoring what you eat, but not going to the extreme for results or the most absolute performance you can get, and just maintaining to keep from going backwards is absolutely amazing. And that is better than what the majority of people do. So don't get me wrong. I'm not dogging on anyone that's at that point where they're like, I just need a break, or I just need to cruise, or I just need to maintain. I need a social life, or I need a family life, or I need something different in my life right now, and this ain't it. So I'm just going to do the bare minimum to maintain and then get back to it later. Those aren't the people that I'm talking to. The people I'm talking to right now are those that want to compete, those that want to bodybuild, those that want to powerlift, those that are 200 pounds, 300 pounds overweight, and they've only been on this for 3 to 6 months, and they got a long way to go, and they're already slacking off and being lazy about their diet. I'm not saying they're lazy or you're lazy. What I'm saying is you can become lazy in your routine and your habit, and you can find the easier way to do things and the easier way to get through it. Instead of going in there with the intent and the purpose to train, to get the absolute most out of that moment, you find the absolute easiest ways to get through it, to be able to be done with it, to move on, to get out of there. And those are the people I'm talking to, because like I said, if you're, let's say, 350 pounds and you've gotten down to 310 pounds and lost 40 pounds in 3 months, that's an amazing accomplishment. But some people see that as an absolute win, and then they get tired or bored or exhausted or feel like they should reward themselves. And if you need that reward or that validation of good job and a little bit of reward to yourself to slack off or enjoy yourself some, absolutely go for it. But keep it to a minimum and get back to it, because if you're that big or that out of shape, like, you're far from done. And I'm not saying you have to be Mr. Olympia or the leanest guy ever, but if your goal is to get healthy, you're far from done. If your goal is to step on stage and you're still pudgy or walking around with 14-inch cannons and you went from 13 to 14-inch arms, you still got a long way to go. Like, there's still a lot to be done and desired. And a lot of people stop seeing results, and then that leads to being unmotivated, discouraged, a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of drive, and then that leads to being lazy more, because it's like, I'm not even seeing any results. What's the point of being hungry or doing this or taking all the time to cook all this food and eat all this? And it's just a vicious circle, man. So like, when people start slacking off and they can't put themselves in check, because it's really hard to evaluate yourself. It's really hard to look at yourself from the outside point of view and see yourself and really actually do a true assessment on what you're lagging in. It really is difficult. And that's where trainers come into play, because they make you accountable for your actions and what you do, but not everyone can afford them. And some people just don't want to pay for them, like myself.
Yeah. And for me, like, my biggest thing has always been, like, I'm not a good workout at home kind of person. Even with something as like simple as just having the gym across the street like it is now, like, that helps me stay in a groove. Because if I'm just at home, I always find an excuse on something to keep me from doing that form of exercise in some way. Like, it's just how I am. But if I have to travel outside the house and go somewhere, anywhere to do that sort of activity, it just helps me. Because like I said, even if it's just the freaking short distance to go across the street or something like that, it still gives me that, like, well, I'm here. Let me go ahead and just get this going.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, man. Like, we're totally opposite in the spectrum of this, right? I'm self-motivated to bully myself into doing something to accomplish something that I want. You, on the other hand, are the type of cat where it's just like, I've gone this long without it. I can go longer. It's not like I'm dying or I need this. So for you, having outside motivation for someone to push you, like myself, like I always do, to get you up and get you moving to better yourself, it motivates you for having that outside like voice. And some people need that and some people don't. And there's other people out there that don't have anyone in their life like that will benefit from a trainer to push them. And then like for me, right, I'm the type of cat that I want to go full throttle all the time. And you're the type of cat to be like, hey man, you might be doing too much. You slow down, you're going to get hurt. Hey, you probably shouldn't be lifting that heavy. Hey, you probably shouldn't be doing those movements. Hey, you know, your pec is kind of messed up. That's not a good. So you kind of bring me back to reality and put me in check while I pick you up and get you out of that slump. So we kind of balance each other out. And a lot of times people don't have that. And I think that's a big issue too, because like there's opposite ends of the spectrum. I think you and me are both at total opposite ends. Like neither one of us are in the middle. I'm like, let's go until something breaks. And you're just like, why get started? You know?
Yeah, for sure. So.
But yeah, that's just my point of view on it and taking away. And don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing people for being lazy. I'm not criticizing people for any form of walk of life that they want to do or how they want to be. I'm specifically talking to the people that have a goal or they started this and they want this really bad when they have energy or they're motivated or well rested. But then when they get started, that's whenever it all goes downhill, because it's easy to be motivated when you have energy and it's hard to be motivated when you lose that energy. And that's where willpower comes in. And that's very important to have that willpower. So,
yeah.
But I think that's going to be it for me. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, sounds good.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And remember, no agony, no braggony.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and a quick note, my wrist is kind of feeling a little bit better. Not much, but a little bit better. So I'm looking on the bright side of things. So thanks for watching.
Yep.